What's up, guys? Dude, I am sorry. It's been a little bit since our last video. I'm not even sure when the last time was that I checked in with you guys, but they sent me on another work trip. I'm opening a new store in Madison, Wisconsin. So I've been here for, I don't even know how long now, a few days or so. And I have a day off today, which I didn't get in the last trip that I went on. I had to work straight through, but I actually have a day off, and I wanted to just jump on here and say hello. I know that it's been, I think, at least a couple weeks or so since I've checked in, but I wanted to, sorry, I'm sitting in the parking lot. I didn't know if somebody needed to get into this spot where I was. I just wanted to jump on here and say hi. I have this day off, and I'd also like to kind of tag team it as like a vlog, and then I'd like to just discuss something about recovery, which I didn't even think about before I started making this video, but we can, I guess, decide as we go along. But mostly I just wanted to say hello to everybody and to basically check in. So, hi, I hope that everybody is doing okay. I hope wherever you're at in your recovery process that today, and maybe not this whole day, but this moment is going okay for you. So let's come up with a topic for today's video. And as we go through this day off, I'm gonna be rambling as I always do in these, and we're gonna just kind of bounce ideas off of one another, me sharing about my personal experience, and hopefully you guys in the comments section. So what should it be today? I like it to kind of pertain to what I have going on in everyday life, and we already did a cool topic in last time's trip and vlog thing where we talked about expanding our horizons in recovery, and then also we kind of did a dual topic with we are not our addictions. So, you know, this is something I was gonna make its own freestanding video, but let's just make today's vlog and the topic of today's video that we're gonna talk about relapse. This is something I'm going to just give you a heads up and a disclaimer that I am going to have my own personal experience with, and I'm going to share from that experience. And I really hope that this can be an opportunity for you guys as well to chime in our comment section, or however you'd like. If you, you know, if this isn't something that you'd like to share, I respect that. But I have never relapsed. On KRATOM. I have never relapsed since I quit drinking almost 15 years ago. Actually, no, I tried to quit drinking one time for like before my final quit, and it lasted, I think, 6 months. But I don't really consider it necessarily a relapse because I wasn't like trying to quit before for good, so that doesn't really apply to it. I have relapsed with weed. And I know a lot of you are probably going to be like, oh, whatever, it's weed. But that was the experience that I'm going to draw from as we talk about today's video. And I'm also, like I said, going to share from the perspective of somebody who made a final quit from KRATOM and who has never relapsed. Because there's been, I guess you could say, a science or so that I have applied to my recovery process, because as you know, I geek out on neurochemistry and how addiction affects our neurochemistry and that kind of thing. And so when I started really digging into that and learning about that early on in my recovery process, I knew based on that science that relapse was something that could never be possible for me. So we're going to get into that more, and I'm going to share the research that I have done and that I've applied to my own personal experience in my recovery process, as well as sharing about how it's been over these past basically 4 years that I've been kratom free, what it's been like to quit for good and to never have had a relapse. And I want to preface this video as well with, like, I'm not here to like be on my high horse preaching at you guys and saying like, oh, I've never relapsed, that's, you know, exactly how you should be, because that's not, you know, my personal experience is not everybody's personal experience. And I know for certain, based on my time in this recovery community with kratom and other substances, and then also with just like my own personal life, having a lot of addicts in my life, and then my own personal experience myself, that it's not always like that. And for some of us, we need to fall down, you know, a few times or even more sometimes, and brush ourselves off and get up and try again. So relapse is oftentimes a part of the recovery process for a lot of us. So I'm not coming at you from a place of pridefulness or from a place of like, you know, this is how I did it, this is like what you need to do, because we're all different. So yeah, I just want to get that out of the way, because as we're kind of like, you know, as I'm bouncing these ideas off of you and sharing the things that I've learned about not only the neurochemistry of addiction and my personal experience, but also with like, you know, what I've seen in people around me who are in recovery. So as we go through all of this stuff today, like, you know, just know that your journey is your own. And I'm just going to be sharing from my personal place of what it has been like to quit kratom for good and to never go back. So, okay, cool. Let's get this day started. I'm in this sweet rental car that my work got for me for this trip, because where I'm at in Madison, Wisconsin is just shy of 3 hours away from Chicago. So I didn't fly here. They rented me this sweet car. And so I'm stoked because I not only have this car, but I have the day off today. So I'm going to be checking out the botanical gardens that are kind of nearby town here. I don't really know much about Madison. I've come through here when I was younger, when I was traveling, but I've never really spent any time. And I gotta say, compared to Kansas City, and no shade for all you Kansas City folks out there, you have an awesome town, awesome city, which I didn't get to see that much of, but the vibe here in Madison is really cool, just as far as what I've seen so far of it and the type of people who have been shopping in our store and stuff. Like, there's definitely a cool vibe here. So, okay, we're gonna get this day started, and I still don't know if I'm able to really film when I have my GPS navigation on as I'm getting around town here. So we may just like do little blurbs like this after I'm done driving where I need to go. I want to be safe as well. And I know some people film when they drive, but I don't know where I'm going. And so, yeah, so we'll get it in. We'll get the filming in as we go through our day. And I'll show you a little bit of the botanical gardens and just different stuff like that. So, okay, cool. Glad to see you guys. Let's get our day started. All right, so we're at the botanical gardens. The sun is going to be shining in my face if I don't keep this visor down. So you're going to see that funny line in my beautiful zit right there. Love that. So, okay, relapses. All right, so there was a mixture of things for me in my own personal experience before we start getting into like the science of addiction in a way, and the neurochemistry of it and all of that. But just sharing what I went through, that like when I made my final jump from kratom, it had been 3 years of being addicted to it. I spent the last year of those 3 years doing a long taper, and the 2 years of those 3 years, the last 2 years, were pretty much hell on earth. I was taking 40 to 60 grams per day at my highest, and I ended up losing a ton of weight. I had a bunch of health problems. If you know the story, if you've been on our channel here before, you know it. If you don't, just giving you a general recap. I say that because what made things hell on earth was that I was so sick all the time. Like, I was basically, because of the amount of kratom that I was taking, I was basically either super sick from taking too much kratom or in withdrawals. And so it was terrible. And that last year-long taper that I was on, things got a little bit better as my dosage lightened, but I really saw a lot of the damage from kratom in my life, both physically, mentally, emotionally, the destruction that had been caused in my life because of the choices that I had made based on where I was at mentally from the addiction. So I found myself in a bad way, and I was basically suffering those last 2 years of the addiction. So when I made my final jump and then going through the pain of the acute withdrawal process, I knew deep down in the marrow of my bones and the fiber of my being, I knew that I never wanted to go back to where I had come from in this addiction. And I share that with you because I think that that's been the foundation of not relapsing on kratom for me in my recovery process. I knew that there was nothing in this world, no pain, no pleasure, no any tragedy that could happen in my life, any good thing that could happen in my life that would make me want to like take a little, bit of kratom to celebrate. There was nothing on the face of this earth and that I could ever face personally or otherwise that would ever make me want to go back to where I had come from. And I think that that's important to share because it's really easy when things get hard in recovery. It's really easy when we are in the post-acute withdrawal stuff and we are in those expanses of space and time where we don't know how long it's going to take for us to feel better. We may be going through challenges in our lives. We may lose, family members, parents, loved ones. We may get divorced. Our dogs may die. We may lose our jobs. All of these circumstances in our lives that could make us be enticed by kratom. When I made my final quit and I knew that the pain that I had gone through and the suffering that I had gone through was horrible, I knew that I was never going to go back. And I made that decision deep down inside of me that there was nothing that could ever make it so that I would ever want to use again. And I know that this is a lot harder for others. I know that when things get hard in life, it's really easy to say, okay, I'm just going to take a dose of kratom to make it feel better. I think a lot of this too is the acceptance that there's not going to be any quick fix to our pain. There's not going to be any quick fix to our recovery. And that kratom has been a quick fix for us. All substances have become quick fixes to us because we look to those for that immediate head change, that immediate relief that it provides, but that comes with a price. So that was my personal experience, that is the foundation of my recovery to this day. I adhere to a strict abstinence policy is what I explain it to be, where that means that I take no kratom or no substance for that matter at this point under any circumstances for any reason. So why do I do this? What's the science behind this too? That was my personal experience with it. The science behind this is that I've talked about this in the neurochemistry of addiction video. I think that's what it's called, that I made at some point. But basically, sobriety is like homeostasis for our body. Homeostasis means balance. And what happens in our brains and our bodies is that that homeostasis is, and the balance of it is what our brains and our bodies are constantly trying to achieve when we use a substance. And so what goes on is that when we take a substance, it throws that balance, that homeostasis off. It throws the balance off. And then what goes on is that our brains and our bodies desperately try to reach that balance again by any means necessary. And like in layman's terms, what goes up must come down. So when we get high on something, the natural reaction to that is that we are going to come down. And so come downs, hangovers, withdrawals, all of that kind of thing is our brain and our body's way of desperately trying to reach that balance again. What happens when we put even the smallest amount of any substance into our system that is going to disrupt this balance is that the whole process of that disruption and then the withdrawals, come down comes first, the come downs, the withdrawals, depending on how long we were addicted to the substance, then we have post-acute withdrawal stuff. So all of that is going to happen again if we even put the smallest amount of that substance into our system. Like, yeah, we're not going to have pause from like a small amount of the substance, but what's going to happen is that the whole disruption of the balance and then our bodies desperately trying to reach that balance again is going to happen. And so also like on a mental level, like when we put even the smallest amount of that substance into our system, it's going to cloud our judgment. And then what's going to go on is it can become very easy as we start to go into, the come down and then the withdrawals from that amount that we took, is that it's going to become really easy to go, okay, screw it. I already, messed up. I'm going to keep going. And so our judgment becomes skewed. And so what this then creates is this whole where we're thrown off mentally and physically because of this, whole aspect of the neurochemistry. Our brain chemicals are going to be thrown out of whack. Our physical body is going to be thrown out of whack by the substance. And then we're going to be more apt to make poor choices to keep using. So how this translates to relapses is that when we put even the smallest amount of that substance into our system, because it can be easy to go, oh, I just had this tragedy happen in my life. I'm just going to take a gram of KRATOM, or I'm just going to take, I'm just going to have one drink. Or for me, because I quit smoking weed for 7 months and I didn't have any tragedies. Life was good. And I was like, you know what? I'm good. I can smoke one bowl at night. It's cool. I got this. And so then I didn't know what I know now. And I learned that through that experience that I can't smoke one bowl at night, because what happens is that I wake up the next morning and I feel groggy and weird because I smoked the night before. And then within a week, I was waking and baking again. And then, I was smoking weed all day, all night again, because that come down from the weed, I wasn't just seeking the high with the weed. I was trying to perpetually run from that come down and feeling off because of smoking. And so I share that because that's a really good example of it. And so point being, that when we take even the smallest amount of the substance, 1 gram of KRATOM, half a gram of KRATOM, smoke one bowl, whatever it is, we're throwing off of our balance. And then we're going to go through the struggle of either coming down and withdrawing again, going through the whole quit process again, or we're going to, be in the mind state of I messed up. I'm just going to keep going, whatever. So that's basically the science of it in layman's terms. And I explain this to you guys because I've talked to so many of you who've had relapses. And I get it. I get how hard it is. I get that they're in this, external source in the KRATOM powder, or, for me in weed, or in drinking, or in, other harder opiates or other drugs, that there is this guaranteed, okay, if I take this, I'm going to feel better right now. And I don't want to face my life, and I don't want to face the wreckage of, you know, what has come from this addiction. I don't want to face the people that I've hurt. I don't want to face my depression and my anxiety and my pain. I don't want to face any of this in life. I don't want to face going, you know, to work and living life sober because it's boring and it sucks. You know, I get all of that. And I get the struggle of the relapsing, you know, over and over again, as far as I don't get it on a personal level, but I get it because I have talked to many of you who have struggled with it. And so I just, as we do this little ramble before I go into the botanical gardens here, that's basically like my mindset with it. And really it's the foundation of my recovery process. Faith is the below that. That's what the foundation of everything is. But like the mental and logical place that I stand on, that, you know, when I'm in a place of like, you know, I gotta be straight up, dude, like I did not have cravings for Kratom. When I quit, I felt so sick during those last 2 years, and then my withdrawal and my pause were so atrocious that the last thing that I ever wanted was more Kratom. So I got to be straight up about that. But like, you know, so that I'm not really called to it in the sense of like, you know, I have to, you know, keep standing on this firm foundation of abstinence where I focus on it every single day. Because at this point, 4 years in, like it's not ever a thought on my mind. But I do keep this information and this knowledge about the way that our brains and bodies work with addiction as the foundation, because when we can look at it this way, when I look at it this way, that like, okay, logically, you know, this is just not ever possible again. It gives me that very solid, you know, foundation of that relapse is never an option. Any Kratom under any circumstances is never an option. You know, smoking weed again is never an option for me. I quit drinking almost 15 years ago. It's never going to be an option for me. For the rest of my life, it's never going to be an option for me. And the longer that I go in this recovery process, the easier that it is and the more that it becomes just integrated into who I am as a person. So, okay, cool. We're sitting here at the botanical gardens, and I don't know if you can see it. There's a really pretty, no, you can't really see. There's a really pretty lake over there. And so yeah, I'm going to bring you into the botanical gardens with me, and we're going to enjoy this day off. Okay, see you in there. Oh yeah, this is awesome. So it's like a rainforest climate. Oh man, this is so cool in here. I feel like this footage is not gonna even do it justice, how cool it is here. Dude, I'm living for this right now. Oh my gosh, the birds. I don't know if you can see them. See the birdie up there? Oh my gosh. You guys, orchids are my favorite. They're literally my favorite. Can you? Oh, seriously. I'm dying right now. Oh, I'm dying. So breathtaking. Oh, that one up there. Oh, it looks like the orchid from Adaptation. You know that crazy movie? Look, bananas. Look at that. Never seen one in real life. I want to touch them so bad, but I know I shouldn't. What is that? That's crazy looking. Oh my gosh, banana blossoms. Oh, I want to touch it and smell it. I wonder if I can smell it. I'm gonna smell it when I turn off the video. It's a banana tree. It's so cool. The big banana leaves. Its trunk. Let's see if I can smell it. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. Doesn't it smell like bananas? Let me try to. It's hard to describe with the banana blossoms with the nectar coming out. That's what I just smelled. It's hard to describe. It's just very fresh and very floral. It's so pretty. What a good idea to come here. be like heaven in here for birdies. All right, it's a couple days later. You guys, it's been tough over this past work trip and kind of since the last one to stay up on my videos, and I super appreciate your patience and your understanding with it. It's been super busy at this new store, and it's been an awesome experience, but I think everything is kind of catching up with me, and I'm just not able to keep up on the videos like I would have liked. So we'll talk about that in another video. All that aside, let's pick up talking about relapses for a moment as I head into, oops, kind of lost my, holding on to my phone there. As we go into my last day of work. I'm going to be heading into my last shift, and then I'm going to get up super, super early tomorrow and bring back this rental car. And I think I'm going to probably be up at like either 3 or 4 a.m. So I'm basically not going to sleep. So it's going to be a fun night into a fun morning, but I'm thankful that I have the next 3 days off, including Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So let's talk about relapses more. I shared with you my experience, and I understand that this isn't everybody's experience. And I want to talk more about like different things that we can do if we are having cravings and if using KRATOM again is becoming something that's on our minds. I've talked about this before, and I didn't talk about it when I shared about my experience with how I look at relapsing as an option. And I want to go into it a little bit more in depth here for a second. That like, actually, I think I might have mentioned it, but let's talk about it some more. Let's like logically wrap our minds around like if it's going to be worth it, basically, to use KRATOM. Because it can be easy to say, okay, I feel like crap, you know, something horrible just happened in my life. I'm just going to take a gram. I'm going to take a single gram of KRATOM. It's not a big deal. I will take this gram and then I'll quit. So like, let's logically break this down. Is this gram of KRATOM, and is the, let's say, at the very maximum 4 hours, but realistically, like maybe an hour or two, because then you start to, you know, the effects start to wane there on after. Is that couple hours of manufactured fake comfort or peace or happiness or euphoria, whatever you get from KRATOM, is that going to be worth it in the grand scheme of life? I know for some of us, maybe it might be, But if you do think about it logically, it's like, okay, well, what's the price to pay for that 2 hours of that feeling? Because like we were talking about before, what's going to happen is it's going to throw off all of, our chemicals in our brain. It's going to throw off our bodies. It's going to make it so that we're going to want to use again. It's going to make it so that we're going to have to come down off of that. And regardless of, if there's going to be withdrawals or not from taking a single gram of kratom one time, you're still going to come down off of it. And then it's going to involve just getting back into balance again afterwards, no matter how big or how small the dose is. So like, let's think about it realistically. Like the pain that we're experiencing right now, or the, boredom or the discomfort or the suffering or the sadness or the depression or the anxiety, whatever it is, like the price that we will have to pay by using again, I think, in my personal opinion, and I can't speak for everybody, but in my personal opinion, it's not worth it again to use. And if you think about it as well, that like we talked about it before, that this is going to impair our judgment, so that when we take that single gram of kratom, it's going to be a lot easier to kind of slip back into using again, because our judgment is not going to be clear. And we're going to be coming down, and we're going to be feeling off. And then it's going to add into those feelings of like, what's the use anyways? And whatever either we're trying to run from or numb, it's going to be a lot easier to just say, screw it, I'm just going to continue taking it. And then we find ourselves in active addiction again. And then we have to go through quitting and withdrawals and pause and all of that kind of stuff all over again. And so what it does is it prolongs, like, sure, we may be in suffering right now, but it's prolonging that even more, because truly the ultimate goal, I believe, is that when we get to sobriety, when we get to long-term sobriety, especially, because for me, the first couple years of my recovery process weren't, sunshine and daydreams and rainbows. Like, it was a hard, gnarly process. And it's really been getting into these last 2 years of my 4 years off of kratom that I've really been able to see the fruit of my labor from going through recovery. And so that, to me, is the ultimate goal when it comes to recovery, is getting ourselves, our lives, our health, our relationships, all of that kind of stuff back in order, so we can start to see the results from the work that we've put in recovery. And basically, we're trading that every time we choose to take even the smallest amount of kratom again. And sorry, I had a text come in. So like, is it worth it? And I was really hesitant to touch on this topic for a really long time, because I know that it may be easy for you to say that, like, what do you know? You've never relapsed. You have no place to say. You don't know my situation. You don't know what I'm going through. And that's why I've waited as long as I have to get into this. But I think that my experience and that my perspective on this is valuable. And I've been trying to be very careful about how I approach this, because I don't want to come off like I'm being preachy, like, oh, just quit and never do it again. Because I understand that all of our situations are different. And I understand that what I went through and the way that I am, the way that I see things, is not exactly what everybody else is going through. So I want to make that clear, that I'm not trying to like harp on anybody or come down on anybody, especially like if you have gone through relapses before. I don't want to, I don't want it to come off like I'm being hard on you in any way. I just, through my experience and through these 4 years, and then also with the 15 years that I have, almost 15 years, it'll be 15 years and 6 months that I quit drinking. That was another example of like abstinence from something. I think that I have a little bit of time and experience under my belt with this, that like I can say that I've learned some things, and I'm trying to share them with you in a kind way. And I know that, you know, you see me probably grappling for my words right now because I want to be careful about how I come off. And I really hope that if you find yourself in a place of either relapsing once or relapsing over and over again, like I've interacted and talked with some of you guys that have gone through that I hope that you can see where my heart's coming from, where my mind is coming from when it comes down to this. And I know that like strict abstinence can be freaky. It can be scary for a lot of us because it's, you know, taking our security blanket. It's taking something that we know that we can feel better from, you know, in 10 minutes or however long it takes for the dose to kick in. And it's taking away that forever from us. And I get it that that's scary. But the thing is, you guys, is that when we make that decision within ourselves and we dig our boot heels into the ground and we stand firm on that foundation, that there is nothing under any circumstances that will permit, allow, let us to use ever again, then that's a really firm foundation to stand on, because we're not giving ourselves the option. And I know that it can be hard. I know that there are different circumstances that are going on in our lives that, you know, everybody's different and everybody has their own set of things that they're dealing with. And I know that it's not possible for some of us to quit at different points in our lives. And I know that things happen that make it seem like it is worthwhile. Like, what do we have to lose if we use again? But I want to come from this place because I've seen a lot of videos in the recovery community about people relapsing, and I've never seen one from my perspective. And again, I'm not, you know, getting on my high horse and saying, you know, I'm better because of this. I'm just sharing from my unique perspective, because there's one other person that I know in long-term recovery in this community, and he's going on 5 years this year. Shout out to Jason. Give Me Your Snacks is his YouTube channel. He's such an awesome dude. He's going on 5 years. He might have already reached it, but he's the only person that I've been in touch with and that I've seen in long-term sobriety in this community, especially in the KRATOM community, because for some reason KRATOM, there seems to be a lot of relapses. So I haven't really seen a lot of this perspective, and I hope that sharing it is gonna help you to see that there's another way and that there is value in coming to understand what a strict abstinence policy is and standing firm on it no matter what. So I'm at the end of this work trip. Basically, I have to drive home tomorrow. I was hoping I'd be able to make some videos as I was driving because it's about a 3-hour drive. And I didn't know if it would like screw up my GPS navigation on my phone. And since I'm a little bit more familiar with the route tomorrow, I may try to do that as I'm driving. If it seems kind of sketchy and it's going to like kick me out of my GPS, then I might not do that. But I do get home tomorrow and I would like to upload this, and it's going to be the day before Christmas Eve when it goes up. And I'm hoping I'll be able to jump on here and kind of finish up this vlog and maybe, you know, talk about a little bit more light-hearted stuff when it comes to relapse. I don't know if there is light-hearted stuff, but, you know, maybe we can try to lighten the mood a little bit other than ending on this. But if I don't get the chance to add any more to this video, I just want to let you all know that no matter how long it takes me to make a video, I am still thinking about you. I'm still praying for you every single day. And we have built from the ground up, very grassroots style, this cool little community that we're a part of here on this channel. And I don't consider this my channel. I consider this our channel. And so I'm so stoked that you're here. Moving into the new year, I'm hoping that after this holiday work craziness, work trips, all that kind of stuff, is over, that I'm going to be able to have some more time to make some more videos other than, you know, just waiting these couple weeks in between because I'm focusing on work. So that'll be cool to look forward to that. So awesome, guys. I'm going to go to my last shift here and then drive back to Chicago tomorrow. And so I will see you when I jump on here next. Bye. Hey guys, I'm back home super early in the morning. The next day after the last video or the last clip of this video that was made. I'm here with Peanut. And come on, Peanut, let's go. And I got home, I gave Peanut a treat, and now we're out on a walk. Super beat. I worked late last night. Come on, Peanut, let's go. Come on. And then I had to be up at 4 to get this rental car back on time. Come on. Come on, Beanie, let's go. Come on. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go. Let's go. Come on, let's go. And so I'm beat. I don't even think I actually fell asleep. Maybe for like a half an hour or an hour or so. But I just wanted to jump on here and formally wrap up this little vlog and this discussion that we've been having about relapsing. And I want to emphasize again, let me resituate my tea. I have my tea in my arm here. I want to re-emphasize again that my journey is not everybody's journey. And if you have struggled with relapses, please know that you're not alone. And please know that every time that we fall down, it's the opportunity to get up and brush ourselves off and continue moving forward in our recovery. Come on, Peanut. And so I encourage you to, I know that this is something, we've talked about this. I know that this is something that isn't easy to talk about for everybody, but I would love if you feel comfortable with sharing in the comments section. I would love to hear your feedback, your opinions, your encouragement to others, your experience with relapsing, because the place that I come from isn't the same as somebody who has struggled with relapses. So your opinions would be very valuable if you feel like sharing. And if nobody feels comfortable to share, that's totally cool too. But just know that wherever you're at in your recovery process, however many times it has taken you to officially quit KRATOM, know that if you have relapsed, then, you know, it's just another opportunity to move forward. I really hope, and my intention for this video is that I hope that you're able to gain some insight from the way that I see things, the way that my research with neurochemistry and just how I look at everything like that. I hope that that helps you to gain some insight into things. Make sure this fella doesn't have a dog over here. He doesn't, because Peanut's off leash and she's, oh no, he does. Let me grab Peanut real quick. So yeah, guys, we're gonna end it here. Peanut, come here. Come here. Come here. And me and Peanut love you. Say Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.